What's up, guys? Eddie Barco here with the Nebula Music Podcast, and welcome to episode number 3. Today's guest is Carlo Loielo, an amazing drummer that's taken Instagram by storm with his awesome beats, awesome drum setups, awesome videos, and just awesome personality. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about how he got started, what motivates him to continue pursuing his career, and what's next for him in the future. We're also going to talk about his social media tips, as well as how he maintains his social media presence even though he's a full-time student. So, what are we waiting for? Let's dive in. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And today I have a very special guest. I have here Carlo Loielo. How are you doing, man?
Very good. And yourself?
I'm doing great, man. This guy is joining us all the way from Australia, where it's nice and sunny, where it's super cool. And I mean, if you guys have been living under a rock, I always say this because there's so many people that I'm talking to that are doing so many great things. But in case you guys don't know, Carlo Loielo is an up and coming, very well, I would say becoming very well known, extremely talented drummer who's just being able to play all these bunch of really cool groups on Instagram. You've been making a huge hit in the drumming community, and I'm just very glad that I can have you here on this episode. And so, I don't want to keep talking too much about myself. I want to let you do all the talking. So how are you, dude? Why don't you catch us up? Tell us what you're up to. Tell us what's new. Go for it.
Well, thank you for having me first. I feel quite honored to be doing a podcast. I don't do this very often. So get out of the way. Yeah, I'm doing quite well. So very busy organising myself for my trip soon, nice. Which is in a week. So when this is posted, it'll probably be after I'm coming back from America. Right. So yeah, I'm going to America. I'm going to NAM and focusing on all of that and trying to get some videos out. And I'm working on a website for to post samples and loops and stuff like that, because I've been requested quite a few of them. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it together and make a website. So the website's live, cvlmusic.com. I'm just working on, as we speak this week, recording samples and stuff and getting that all ready. So that's my priority at the moment, that and getting ready to go.
Very cool, man. What kind of samples are you mostly focusing on? Are you just doing a wide variety or a specific kind of samples?
Well, in terms of samples, I'm working on just like snare, kick, like just kit samples for hip-hop makers, like beat makers. So, yeah, heaps of people have asked me for it because they really like my sound. So I thought I'd just get especially the snare sound. A lot of people freak out over my snare sound. So it's like a secret that they want to know, but it's really weird because I use a bottom mic, which a lot of people don't think about. So I use a bottom mic and the top like 57, a regular SM57. So I'm going to get that, which I've already set up, and do different tunings and stuff, and put them all in packs for people to download. So.
Dude, congratulations on that. I'm just curious, when it comes to that bottom mic, how do you mix the two in terms of the top and bottom? I'm sure there's tons of people that have different opinions about this, but at least for your killer sound, do you mix them pretty evenly, or how does that work?
Well, it depends on the sound. Like, you could add a little bit of the bottom mic and keep it mainly the top mic in terms of levels, or you could actually even mute the top mic and use just bottom mic. Because with overhead, you still pick up the attack from the top head. It's a really crazy thing. You should try and work out and just test it, because I use a pencil mic as the bottom mic.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like a 57 on the bottom or a regular snare. I use a pencil mic, which really gets the snares, like just the snares. That's why it's so snappy. So I'm pretty sure I'm doing some research on Questlove especially, because he's got amazing snap with his snares, especially on like the Tonight Show and stuff. Yeah. I've in his mic setup, and he uses a pencil mic on the bottom. So I tried that right in the early days when I started making videos, and it actually worked. It got the snare sounding really snappy. So
it sounds great. I mean, I always go through your feed whenever you post something new, and your kit always sounds absolutely fantastic. And you know what? Since you actually did mention it, I do kind of want to segue into that. For those of you who are joining us for the first time listening to this episode, I have had some pretty great already, interviews with some people. And basically the concept or the goal for these episodes are to interview and talk to a lot of people who are making a killing in the social media game, and to really focus on what it was that helped them, become successful, what got them started. Because I always receive and I'm sure you do too, Carlo. We receive so many requests as to how do we post a video, how do we record this, all these bunch of, questions as to how to do this. And so this is kind of my way to give back to the community and to, show everybody that it is possible. And so I kind of want to know how you got started. What was it that made you want to start posting videos? And maybe walk us through a little bit how it was from the very beginning to when it actually started to take off.
Well, it started months before. So I started like February 2015. Yeah, 2015. Nice. It started like way months before that. I saw guys like Siros Vaziri.
Yeah.
The other guys, like the drumming beat, I saw all of them videos. I'm like, damn, like, I really want to do that. I want to record myself and post it.
Nice.
And back then, I didn't think I was amazing, and I don't think I'm amazing now. But I thought, you know what? I don't want to try and post all these chop videos because I don't have amazing chops. I've got some chops over the years that I've worked on, but what I really loved was like Questlove's style of playing and listening to Jay Dilla. So I was thinking about doing stuff like that or posting just beats or something every day, like a test to see if I can do it. And then one day I was was watching a video on YouTube. It was Questlove's Boiler Room. It was like a DJ set where I was freaking out. He was doing a Jay Dilla beat, like a different track every like 20 seconds. So he transitioned them really quickly. And I thought, geez, that's pretty cool. Instagram has 15-second videos. Why not try and like cover these songs?
Yeah.
That was my initial thing that I wanted to do, a Jay Dilla series. So I was trying to think, should I do 100 days? And then I thought, no, 100 is a bit long. I'll do 50. And then I realized, hang on, let's try a drummer. So I tried Questlove. So that was the first series. That's how that came about. I thought, let's do Questlove because he's my idol, one of my idols. So I done 50 days of Questlove, and that turned out pretty big. He started following me. I don't know if you watched any of the videos, but Questlove started following me, and I freaked out. That was like halfway through it.
That's insane. So how did you feel like when you like looked through your feed and you're like Questlove is following you back? That's insane.
Yeah, I was freaking out because I did like tag him in every video, so he probably got and he just started following me. But I felt quite honoured that he'd follow me. He might have seen one of the videos, but as soon as that was over, I thought, all right, what's next? And then I realised, let's try the Dilla thing. Maybe people like it, maybe they won't. But that worked out pretty well. That was 50 days of Dilla. And then I thought, hang on, there's thousands of Jay Dilla tracks and beats because he was a genius. So I thought, let's do another 50 days. So there was 100 days of Dilla that I wanted to do. So I ticked that off my bucket list. I've done that. And then after that, I can't remember what I've done. I think it was the Chris Dave series.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think that's when I first heard of you was the Chris Dave series. I started watching and I became your fan at that point. That's when I heard of you. And you did some fantastic videos at that point.
Yeah. That was a big test because his playing is unreal. There's so much like crazy chops. Like no one plays these chops. They're just crazy. Like the feathering on the foot, on the bass drum. That was insane. I sort of knew how to do it, but I really had to practice that. There was quite a few things I had to practice for that series. So, yeah, that year was quite crazy, 2015. 2016 last year got busy with like university because I study at the moment.
Nice.
And,
what do you study? We can ask. Do you study music? What was that? Sorry.
Finance, something different. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's business majoring in finance. So that's something I've been sort of interested after school. I thought, let's get a degree as well as doing music. So I really try and focus on the two. And yeah, that's something I think everyone should try and do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think at least get a degree as a backup plan. But I'm quite lucky in Australia. There's like HEX plans, so they help with paying uni, which I've heard is quite expensive in America there.
It can be.
Yeah. So yeah, I got busy with uni, and so I've done the Chris Dave series and then the Benny Greb series. So he was another idol. So I just kept going through my idols. Then I tried doing Steve Jordan, but I got very busy with uni and stuff and home stuff at that point. But I think it's all a matter of finding your idols and just playing their stuff and recording it. because I found that to be more interesting than recording a random beat every day, which is what I'm doing now. But I'm trying out different things. It's a matter of changing things up and testing yourself. That's what I believe.
Interesting. So to me, it seems like, if I can reiterate just a little bit what you said, your inspiration came from basically trying to play what your idols could play, and you basically just hit record and you just uploaded that, and then everything came from there, basically.
Especially the Dilla stuff. He's not even a drummer. He's a beat maker. So it was crazy. There's been covers of, like, with live instruments of Dilla stuff for years, but I thought, I haven't seen it on Instagram. I'm gonna try it. So that's the whole point of it. I thought, no one's doing Questlove or Dilla stuff. I'm going to try that. And heaps of people, even in Australia, they freak out over the Dilla stuff. And I've seen that they post stuff like that now too. So it's a matter of just finding something you're comfortable with and posting it.
You know what? And I think you're absolutely right on the money, because with all the people I've talked to, including for myself, it's really about finding the stuff that you feel that you like. The truth is, if you're constantly posting or doing something that you don't like, then you're going to get bored of it. But for you went past that envelope. You pushed to try and figure out those complicated things that you really wanted to learn, and you just happened to post it, and people really like seeing that of you. And I think the important thing to take away from that is that it's personable. It's kind of part of your personality. You wanted to do that, so people are peeking into what you're doing, your practice sessions, how you're getting better. And so do you feel like that has helped you become successful? Is the fact that you weren't trying to do something that you didn't like, is the fact that you did something you wanted to do, and you just basically allowed the world to see your progress in that? Yeah,
well, it's not hard stuff to play, the Dilla stuff. So, look, maybe I shouldn't have gone down the easy route. I should have tried something that was like testing my capabilities on the drums, which actually happened later. I picked the Benny Greb stuff, which is good because I love his stuff, but
insane stuff,
challenging stuff. So that was a great series. But that's if you really want to improve yourself. In terms of social media, I think the Dilla stuff and the Questlove, you're right. It showcased my personality and my influences, especially. So if you're starting out on Instagram and you like Green Day, then play Green Day, because then people will see that and do it to the best of your abilities, and then move on to different stuff and change things up. That's what I think. But definitely try and have a balance between what you love and something that challenges you. That's what I think.
Absolutely. And you know what? I like what you said, which is actually another question I have. You said change things up, which I think is something I'm going to use myself for example. I very rarely talk about myself in a lot of these episodes, but for example, last year, some of my fans reached out to me. I actually got a little burnt out after about doing Instagram for about 2 years straight. There was a time where for 5 to 6 months, I basically just took a break. I still posted it every now and then. I posted a video here and there, but it wasn't a consistent thing. And I realized that I had to change my tactics because everything just became a little stale. At least that was what happened to me. Everything got a little boring, and I had to take a step back and ask myself, what am I doing? Why is it boring? And I got to change and do something different. It can be scary, especially when you've already set yourself up, or you set a standard, or people know you for something, and then you come back and you're like, I'm going to do something completely different. It's scary. And so I guess my question for you is, was there a moment, and I think it's because you're doing beats now, I think I'm trying to see if maybe that's the reason why, but was there a moment where you kind of looked at your content, you looked at your daily routine, and you felt like maybe I got to change it up a bit, I got to find something else to do? Is that something you've been faced with?
Absolutely. Last year, about 6 months ago, I was getting really busy with uni, and I thought, I need to focus on uni. So I didn't feel quite, how can I say, inspired behind the kit, because I was doing those videos almost every day. So yeah, it did start to feel stale, and I thought, what am I going to do? This is during the Steve Jordan series. It's not that what I was playing was stale; it was more just the idea of what I was doing. I thought that this isn't quite challenging enough. I need to be more random. That's what I thought. I thought, people are going to expect this video the next day, or they're going to expect this. So it did feel quite stale, thinking, people are going to expect this video tomorrow. I don't want to do that. and with university, it really pushed me because I needed to spend so much time studying and sort of less time practicing, and that less time I really needed to focus on good material. So that good material I decided slowly, and I worked it out to be a bit more random. So now I'm doing like random beats, which it might seem random, but it probably is actually, because the way that works now is, like, especially before I just posted a video 15 minutes before our conversation started. I was walking around the house. This was yesterday, though. I had to re-record it, a long story. Yesterday, I was walking around and I just think of a beat in my head. So, think about it, yeah. And then I walk in the room and I try and play it. So stuff like that is a bit more interesting, and it pushes me to get whatever's in my head onto the kit. I find that interesting at the moment. So that there is what I find to be something different and to change things up. But that's at this moment. Then it might feel stale again. I'm not sure. That's the whole thing about changing things up. It's to push yourself and to get people and viewers like a bit what's the word?
Engaged.
Yeah, where they don't see what they expect.
Yeah.
I can't think of it at the moment, but yeah, it's to throw them off a little bit.
And you know what? I'm so glad that you said that, because it's, again, you know, when you've established yourself, when you've made a name for yourself on Instagram or whatever, you know, you make a fan base and you have a bit of like a family that you create for yourself. And I think a lot of people don't realize when you have that, especially like for my fan base, it can be a little intimidating. You know, when you have to put so much content, you want to make sure that it's always good and engaging, not only for yourself and for, you know, your fans. So I think I'm just reiterating what you're saying. It's important to always push forward, put out great content, but to be self-aware when something's becoming stale. You know, when you feel that little itch inside of you to do something different, chances are, I would argue, that it's a good time to explore other options. And I think you did a really good job. I like where you're heading with all your new stuff. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm quite inspired by Dan Silver.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good friend, too.
Yeah, he's great. I'll probably be meeting him in New York when I'm there, because he's from New York State. So his stuff recently, he's moved to like jazz stuff,
yes,
which is great, because he's not much of a jazz drummer. He's known as like a heavy metal, and
yes,
he's got great chops. And I find it great that he's gone and he's got like a small jazz kit and a Gretsch, an old Gretsch snare, and he's doing a jazz setup. And I can see he's pushing himself, which to his fans, which he's got so many fans, they see that and they think, oh, cool, we should push ourselves too.
Exactly.
So that's I'm really inspired by Dan. The stuff he's doing is unreal. So him and quite a few others like yourself, we've got just so many followers, and it's a matter of changing things up and pushing ourselves. And it's I know it sounds bad, but it's not all about the followers.
And never about the followers.
They're just there for the ride. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, so we should feel quite honoured to have all these followers, but at the end of the day, it's they're watching us improve ourselves.
Yeah,
and our day-to-day drumming experiences.
And we're happy to give back, and in a way that's, I'm glad you say that, because this is our way to kind of give back too. You know, we're nothing without our fans, and they help push us to become better at what we do. But at the same time, we want to make sure that all of our fans know that this is possible too. You know, we just try to do our best, and we played, and somehow people liked it. And I'm sure there's tons of other people watching this that can do this too, and that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because there's a lot of teachers on Instagram. Like Siros, he does a lot of chop and feel exercises and stuff. Does. Yeah, which is great. That's directly helping the fans, which is awesome. But I don't really do lesson stuff, and I'm not sure if you do a lot of lesson stuff.
Not much.
But yeah, it's you can still influence your followers by what you're playing and what you're doing, even though you're not teaching them actual written exercises and stuff. So yeah, I think it's it's a strange game, this Instagram stuff.
It is, but somehow you manage it. You know what? On that topic, how do you manage all this stuff? I mean, we've kind of been touching up on with your work at your university. You know how you post and how you film. How do you balance your schedule? And how often do you film? Do you film every day, or do you kind of just film whenever you feel like it? How does that work?
I try my best to get in this room, in this studio, once a day, whether it be for an hour, for a couple of hours, for 15 minutes. If I get a beat in my head and I want to record it. Otherwise, it might be every second day. And it's a tough one. You got to manage your time, whether it be with music, with home things, with family, with spouses or partners, everything. I just try and get in the room as much as possible without making it too stale in terms of recording every day and recording, let's say, for my series where I started feeling a bit tired of the stuff. But definitely I try and get in here every day. And a lot of the times I come in here just to record, but especially lately I've been thinking about just coming in the room and practicing. Not recording it, practicing, which is tough because there's all the, like, I've got the GoPro and the camera here, which I can just select record and start recording with the interface and the mics. But no, I just come in here and practice specific things. So, yeah. Nice.
Well, let me ask you this. From sitting down on the kit, think of an idea, and then you film it, and then you post it. How long does that process, you think, take? Like, if you have already the idea that you're going to record and you sit there and you play it, how long do you think it takes from that to posting it on Instagram?
All right. The process, especially lately, would be beat comes up in my head or something, or I come in the room and I'm jamming and thinking of ideas. I record. Once that's done, usually I leave it. So this could be recorded at, let's say, in the afternoon or in the morning. Like, let's say today. Like right now, it's 11 a.m. or 11:30, roughly. And might record now, and then I could actually leave it until tonight. I might edit it tonight, and I'll put it through Final Cut and edit the audio. So that only takes about 15-20 minutes. 15-20 minutes. So that could be done, and then I'll leave that until the morning time. So I try and work out, a lot of my followers are in the States, so I think I should post when it's daytime there. So I leave that till the morning time, about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'll post it. So in terms of editing and recording it, it's not much at all. It'd be probably like half an hour. In terms of recording 15 minutes worth of ideas and stuff, and then 15 minutes of editing. So it really doesn't take that long. It's a matter of just like doing it. Yeah. Just thinking and doing it.
Especially once you've done it for a while, you kind of have your template or you have your set way of doing it. You can easily kind of just drag and drop everything. That's one thing that happened for me, at least. It took a while at first, but after I'd say maybe about a week or two, once you do it a couple of times, it just becomes habit, basically.
Well, I've got like a template on Logic, so I just click on the template and everything's all ready to go. It's not like I have to reset up a file with all the mics set up. So really, once I reckon it's the initial setup, especially if you're trying to get into recording and posting every day. It's the initial setup that's a bit hard. So once you get over that hurdle, it's really not that hard to record every day. So it slowly and over time, I change my mix because I'm trying new things and working out, like especially the early videos. They sound okay, but I use like GarageBand, so that was my starting point.
Nice.
So I tried to EQ the things a little bit and make sure my gains were all right. They weren't all right. They were quite bad. But on the videos, they managed. They were okay. But at the moment, I'm really trying to get my mix right because, especially with session stuff, some guys want my mix, so I want to make sure my mix is reasonably professional.
Did someone guide you with your mix, or did you kind of look on YouTube, or did you research on your own to figure out how to mix it?
A buddy of mine helped me a little bit in terms of like gain, making sure the gains are on the interface and all of that. But in terms of the mix, it's a matter of doing the research and finding stuff like single band EQ and all these other things. They're all like trade secrets. And I've found tons of videos on YouTube. It's a matter of doing the research and getting out there and actually working on it and trialing things.
But it's absolutely doable. Absolutely doable. If you have access to YouTube, you can do it.
Yeah, even if you've still got GarageBand or I don't know if there's a PC version of a free program, even just Audacity, is that?
Yeah, kind of. There's another one, but I forget.
Yeah, can't remember, but yeah, if you've got a Mac and you've got GarageBand, that's the best way to start, because you can do all the mics. You just need an interface and microphones. So laptop with recording a DAW. A DAW, yep, mics and an interface. That was it.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was it to start. So, because I looked it up, I'm like, okay, how do I record? And I've had that stuff way earlier. You can see on my YouTube channel, I've actually got videos earlier than what I started the Instagram stuff. So I've had that stuff. It was actually a matter, especially with the Instagram stuff, when to start posting every day. It was a matter of what I was going to post, because I had all that stuff available. So a lot of people actually might have recording gear available. They just don't know how to start Instagram. But if you don't have recording gear and you want to get into it, there's so many like cheap microphone packs and little interfaces. Like you could even just do kick and overhead.
Yeah.
So
I've done that. I've definitely done that. It works.
Yeah. Even recently, I've done some videos with kick and overhead, and no one's realised. Because sometimes, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's with my mics or the interface. They come up like error files, like the toms and the snare. So I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? So I just use the kick and overhead, and no one's realised. If you EQ it right and you use the right compression and gating and all of that, it's a matter of learning all the curves of especially now I'm using Logic, so it's a bit more in depth. But yeah, once you get like your mix down, as long as it sounds pretty good, it's ready for Instagram. And then you get the video and you merge it with the audio.
And how do you film it? Do you have a GoPro? Do you use your phone? Do you use an actual like DSLR?
Well, my overhead shots with a GoPro.
Nice.
Attached to like I've worked out something. It's on the and the shots where it's from the side or from above me from the shoulder. Recently, I've been posting like that. I'm using a DSLR, like a 700D Canon.
Nice.
So it's a reasonably cheap camera. You can get it for, I don't know, in American dollars. It's usually a couple $100, and then you get the lens and all of that. But it's a matter of just click and record with whatever. If you got your phone, just set your phone somewhere, because you're not using the audio from
the phone.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Especially, you've got the recording gear available. The audio from the video does not matter at all. So if you just want to record and post, you don't care about the audio, then there's even like the Zoom H3 or HQ something.
Yeah, those are nice. I actually like those.
They're really good. I've seen, trying to think, there was some drummers I've seen actually say they use the Zoom as well as a kick mic, and that's their recording situation. Because
the little two mics that come on top actually pick up a very good overall sound, because I forget what the specifications are, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That Zoom is a fantastic little device that gets really good audio for what it is, for how tiny it is. It's really good.
And that saves having to get an interface. So there's many possibilities to record. It's a matter of doing the research and finding the stuff and just getting off your bum and doing it. That's
nice.
what
I definitely appreciate you saying that, because it's really all about just experimenting until you get it right. And I think you've been doing it right. Everyone, and I really want to say this to everyone, almost anyone you see on Instagram or YouTube or whatever making a killing at it, I guarantee you almost all the musicians didn't go to school for film. I mean, that's the real. I didn't go to college to study film. We just one day just hit on YouTube. I researched how to use Premiere, how to use all that, and I just figured it out. It took me about maybe 2-3 weeks, and then I had a hang of it. And obviously over time, I imagine you have learned new techniques over time to expedite the process, make it better, like you've been saying. And I think that's, like you said, it's just get off your bum and just do it. And then over time, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a good example, my website. My brother-in-law helped me set up the domain and all that. But in terms of the actual website, I'd done the HTML code myself. So I got a theme and I had to edit everything and put my own stuff in there and change the layout. But basically, I looked it up on Google, everything. So if I didn't know how to do something, I'd Google it and I'll work it out. It's not that hard. As long as you're savvy in what you're trying to do, you can do it. So if you want to, you just Google stuff, just do the research, look up on YouTube what other guys are doing. We've got the internet. Like my dad and my grandparents and everyone, they didn't have the internet. So, my dad's told me stories, like heaps of stories. There was one teacher in the area that they went to get lessons. This is guitar. I'm sure for drums it would have been the same. So if you want to learn drums, you either go to the teacher or you put the radio on. Nowadays we can go on Spotify, we can go on YouTube and find anything and we try and play to it, or there's even lessons online, which is unreal. We can even chat to our favourite drummers. I've seen there's Thomas Pridgeon Skype lessons and Dave Leach. There's so many possibilities for us to improve ourselves online and to do stuff like Instagram posting. We're quite fortunate. That's why we should use the internet in our favour to improve ourselves.
Absolutely, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think we're going to get close to wrapping it up here a little bit. But, because you've been so successful, I think Instagram has definitely become a bit more of your resume, I would say, or at least part of your resume to kind of show, to show the community what you can do. And how has that helped you? Before we even started the interview, you mentioned that you had a band, or that you play for certain people, you do session work. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in Australia and the bands you play for, and how, having this Instagram resume has maybe even helped you to get those gigs?
Well, I started Instagram early 2015. I would have been about 18 then, I think. No, 19, something like that.
19, yeah.
Yeah. But I started in this band, which I'm still in today. I started in this band when I was about 16, 17. And this is, back then I was only doing a couple, like once a week. Now we do about 2 to 3 a week.
Nice.
Usually about 3. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But that's been my gig since I was 17. So I've been gigging every single weekend. But this stuff here, I don't really post on Instagram because I know it sounds bad, but it's music I don't like. And that's the beauty about it. Doing gigs where you're playing music you don't like it really teaches you to be vigilant and focused on the goal of it, which is you're supposed to entertain people. So the stuff I'm playing is all pop cover stuff and a bit of rock and a bit of all sorts, bit of old music, bit of new music, especially new music. We do a lot of like the dance, the top 40 hits, but love it. And the funny part about it is it's backing track.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a 3-piece. I'm basically the only live musician on stage. So it's a different situation. A lot of people wouldn't see, but that's just the way things are now with bands. A lot of people have backing tracks. So occasionally I get to play with a bass player, but usually it's a backing track where I've got click and the song in my ear, and then there's one guy playing guitar and singing, and the other guy just singing. So it's a situation where they demand you to entertain. So I'm like dancing around and playing the drums. It's quite interesting. But yeah, that's been my gig for the past couple of years. I'm quite fortunate to have this gig for sure. So
not bad. What about the session work? Have you seen a bit of a? You did mention all your samples that you're going to be posting. Are there other maybe like sessions that you've gone for other other bands or other albums, whether in your country or internationally, through Instagram, or is that something you're currently working on getting?
I'm working on that for sure. Through Instagram, I've got a lot of session work for with guys from America, especially. So I had one last week I had to record for, and that was the first guy who emailed me through my proper email and through the website. But it's definitely through Instagram lately. A lot of soul and R&B stuff. The guys request me, but nothing's really been through the band that I'm in now. So that's just like a separate entity. So I've got that, and then that takes up a lot of my time. So that takes.
Can we know the name of the band? Can I ask the name of the band? Is that cool?
The Incredibles.
The Incredible what?
The Incredibles. Oh, you just say the Incredibles band. So if you want to look us up on Facebook, it's like an upside down question mark.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like the Incredibles, the the cartoon. Yeah, so it's a very cheesy and fun band, but yeah, it taught me a lot about performing, big time. So,
which is important too for all musicians to learn. It's a very different world going from the studio to playing live. Two completely different skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's been basically the only band I've been in. I've done a few gigs here and there where it's a live band, of course, but like the main gig, which is like 99% of my pay, is The Incredibles. So yeah.
Is touring something maybe that you're looking into your future? Like, would you like to maybe tour with a very big pop artist? I mean, it may not be your favorite kind of music, but is that something you would, explore?
I think anyone would take. So yeah, I would for sure. Even if it's music I don't like, I'd play it. But in terms of don't like, it's more like something that I wouldn't listen to personally. Right. So it's not like I'm dissing the music. It's more now I wouldn't listen to the music when I'm home relaxing or something. But right. Another interesting tidbit is when I was younger, about 15, so just before I got into The Incredibles, I toured with, I got the gig through like a family friend who was organising it. It was a gig with Donnie Edwards. He's a Las Vegas Elvis impersonator.
Interesting.
So he was touring around Australia. It's quite weird. He was touring around Australia, and a friend of mine, Jason Russo, he was playing in the band in LA, so he's getting pretty big, but he was doing the Elvis tours, so he couldn't do a certain amount of the shows in Sydney. So I managed to get the gig for that at age 15. I was quite proud of that.
Wow.
And this Donnie Edwards guy from Las Vegas, but also the backing vocalists were the Sweet Inspirations, which is the original Elvis female backing vocalists.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was quite crazy. That was a very rare opportunity, and that was like my first live performing experience. So that there was a big stepping stone to push me onto playing 3 times a week around town. So it's a lot of people don't know about any of this through Instagram, because the Instagram stuff's just that. I should share it a bit more often, but that's why we go here.
Just a little bit. Just throw a bone in there every now and then. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be. I'll try and post a picture of my setup or something at a gig, but never really videos. I should though, so yeah, you're right.
You should.
Every now and then.
Dude, you're easy to talk to. See, there's another thing I before we wrap it up, you have a very good personality, which I think it's something that it's very easily overlooked, and it can sound cheesy when we talk about it, but the truth is, I think it's very important. Like, it really is. I'm a firm believer that your personality shows really fast on social media, and if you want to make it, or if you want to use it, you want to make sure that you're true to yourself and that you're a personal person, because you're going to get comments, DMs, and I know tons of people who will purposely ignore all that. But in my opinion, I'm like, hey, those are your fans. Those people are talking to you. They're asking you questions. They like what you're doing. Take the time to respond. So do you find it hard to kind of keep track of, because I imagine you must get tons and tons of comments and requests. Do you find it like it takes too much of your time, or do you manage it pretty well at getting back at people?
Look, I might see all these notifications on my phone about questions of the setup or like personal stuff with music or anything. But I don't like to go there and just write whatever, because I've got 5 minutes of my time to quickly write something. I might leave it until the end of the day when I'm chilling out. I thought, I'll properly answer all of these questions people have. So if someone asks me a small question about my setup or like what hi-hats I'm using, I'll sit down and I'll write down exactly what's there and why I've picked it and why it sounds good to me. So I don't like to half-ass my answers when people ask me stuff.
Right.
If they want to know something, I'll let them know. So, especially with like the snare drum situation, a lot of people ask me about how the snare's so snappy, and it's quite simple. It's just the bottom mic. You put the mic in there. So look, they're doing their research, trying to work out what I'm doing, and I'm happy to share my information and my knowledge. So.
Awesome. Well, on that note, is there a specific way that you prefer to get reached out to? If someone were to watch this episode and be interested and start doing what you're doing, do you prefer being reached out through Instagram, through a comment, maybe through your email? Is there a specific way that for sure this is easier for me to reach back to you?
I'm on Twitter, and I haven't used it that often, but that's another point that you can contact me. But definitely Instagram messages, I see that maybe once a day in terms of because I get invite messages. So you got to click on that to find it. That's why it's a bit hard, but I always check that as often as possible. But email definitely, because I've got the email set up on all of my devices, on laptop, phone, everything. So I had a Gmail account before, but I've got a proper domain email now. So it's carlo@cvlmusic.com. And on my website, I've got it listed, all the social media, basically, that you can contact me. Even Snapchat, if people want. I've got quite a few people on my Snapchat that ask me questions and stuff, which is great.
And what is your website? One more time, the address for your website?
cvlmusic.com.
cvlmusic.com. Awesome.
I've tried to brand myself as CVL because it's quite hard to pronounce my surname. So CVL is basically my initials. So Carlo Vittorio Loielo. I thought, I'd just make it CVL Music. So, yeah. Smart
man. Well, dude, honestly, there's so many questions we could ask you, and I know your time is valuable, and so I think you definitely have given a good insight as to what it is you do and how you do it. Before I let you go, is there any, I think you've already said everything you needed to say, but is there maybe a small quote or something you want to leave with the listeners just to kind of help motivate them to jumpstart this? Any last words, if you will?
I could say the Nike one, just do it, but there's way more inspirational ones than that. In terms of just getting out and recording, let me think. I said it before, just get off your bum and do it, or get off your butt, and
exactly.
Just don't even think about it.
Actually,
that's a good one. Don't think about it, because lately I've been running a bit in the morning. And sometimes you feel a bit lazy, you can't bother running. So my idea is, just don't even think about it, just get up and do it. So it's a matter of just, you want to record, all right, well, just do it. Don't even think about the time or things you could be doing instead of recording, like playing video games and stuff. Just go and record. Don't even think about it. It should just come natural. If you're that passionate about it, it should come natural. You shouldn't even waste time not doing it. So
exactly. I think that's definitely a very good skill to learn to have too. It's, when you really want to do something, if you really want to achieve it, set the goal and just get at it. A little bit a day. And the truth is, guys, Carlo didn't get to this spot right now, overnight. It took you at least 2.5 years to get to this spot, and it's something that takes time. Could it happen overnight? I'm sure it could, but that's kind of rare. Anyone who's ever made it has worked at it and added skills every single day or every week. It doesn't matter. Whenever they worked on it, the focus was get a little bit better. You're not going to get perfect the first time around. You're just going to get better every time, and then one day you get here, And so I think exactly what you said, get off your butt and just do it and don't even think about it. And then over time, just get better. Wise words to leave them, my friend. Very wise words.
Got to have faith. I think a lot of people got to have faith what they're doing. So
exactly,
believe in yourself.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much. Again, there's so many things I want to ask you, but we're obviously we went a little over time, but I just want to thank you so much for your time. I'm going to do my best to meet up with you at NAMM. I'm excited to see you there. I think our fans are going to be elated to hear from you personally, to hear about your band too, that no one ever hears about. And, so thank you so much for being a part of this, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you.
It's a pleasure to be on this podcast, man. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, and I'll make sure to include all your links here that you want to include on the podcast, and anyone who is willing to ask questions, I'm sure you're more than happy to answer any questions that they have.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man, and I'll see you soon. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for the call, man.
Thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode. I had a great time talking with Carlo. Very easy to talk to. I definitely love talking to people that I can just talk for hours, and I can't wait to see how far he takes his career, because this guy is way too talented. I am positive that he's going to blow up in the drumming community anytime soon. Now, if you like what you heard on today's episode, please don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe, as this helps me to continue this podcast so that I can continue bringing you amazing content in the future.